What if the key to manifesting what you want was actually letting go completely? Letting go of the outcome, letting go of how people respond to you, letting go of the attachment to the how of things happening would actually then allow in the thing that you very much want. Now, in this video, I want to show you the energy dynamic behind letting go. I want to show you why letting go actually allows you to have that which you want. And I want to share with you the most powerful process for letting go that will completely change your life from the inside out, where you will literally be good either way from what I share with you, and therefore you increase the probability of the love, of the abundance, and of the opportunities actually coming into your life. Now, when it comes to mastering detachment and this idea behind what Alan Watts coined as the backwards law, which is an ancient old Chinese proverb, which has to do with the more you want anything, the more you block that thing. The more you try to control, the more out of control you feel. And what happens is this is a paradox. However, it is very often a true experience for many people. Even think about it in your own life. Have you ever realized that the more you want and the more insistent and expectations you have, the more you butcher up the vibration and the energy of whatever you want? If you're going on a date with someone and you really want them to like you, okay, here's a deeper aspect to look this whole, it's coming through. When we are wanting or are attached to something that we want with an expectation, we are manipulating the universe. We're literally trying to take. We're trying to take from someone else. Like imagine you go on a date with someone and you want their validation or approval. It's literally a manipulative energy of I want you to approve of me. I want you to give me approval and validation. I want you to like me. Even if there's some energy where it's like, well, I want to spend my life with you and give you a whole bunch of cool things and just be awesome for you. There is a manipulative quality there of trying to get. And the universe does not reward that quality. So if you think about it in different ways, if the intention is of getting from someone else or of getting from the universe in a way where it's trying to meet the inner needs from the external, it is an energy of control and resistance. So isn't it a paradox that the more you let go and the more you are free of caring what people think and the more you are being yourself, generally, more people may like you. Even if they don't agree with how you're being, they'll respect you if you're not attached to how they think or trying to get something from them. Because if you want people to like you and approve of you, you want something from them, they can feel that from you. But if you are cool either way, you will notice they respond to you very differently. There's a lot more respect there, and there's an energy because the most attractive energy is when it's not attached to outcome. It's when there's freedom in it. That displays abundance. That shows there's abundance. That shows there's not an attachment to, I need your want or approval, or I need this from you in order to feel good enough. So when we look at the dynamic of this, the belief is that staying attached will get me what I want. That's what people believe, and that's why people stay attached. Staying attached as a kid, maybe it been a survival mechanism to wanting to get the needs met. So the idea was, I'm going to be attached, therefore I'll get my needs met. But think about it. In your life, when you are the most attached, do you actually get what you want? Normally you'll find that it's not until you completely let go that thing actually comes back. So often people experience this in relationship dynamic. I've seen it many times before where somebody is going through a challenging time. Maybe they go through a breakup. They want the other person back. Please come back, because if they were to come back, it would close the loop from childhood and say, I'm worthy, I'm good enough. Fighting for familiar, because normally it's people that aren't choosing them. So it's like, oh, this feels familiar. And you want to know what a lot of times will happen? is they're looking this way and they're chasing the person that's doing their own thing. And then finally they start putting their attention inwards. They start feeling good enough, whole and complete within themselves. They stop chasing this person, and then this person notices and starts coming the other way. Because the energy dynamic is shifted. So it happens a lot where when people start focusing on themselves, then they are more magnetic, more attractive, and then this thing comes back, and then you get to decide, do I even want to? You may completely change your perspective now that you're meeting your own needs. And also a lot of times that might be rooted in the anxious avoidant attachment style cat and mouse game. So I'm not saying that's healthy. I'm just saying very often the energy dynamic switches when you stop putting the attention on the external. So what is this really? Because if you think about it, the vibrational resonance of abundance is void of attachment. If you see love and money, and you want love and money, and you're attached to getting love and money, you're manipulating the universe. Also, it's saying energetically you don't have that thing. It's not within your own energy field. So letting go of it means recognizing also that the emotions inside of your energy field that you want to experience are already there. This is one of the main things to understand about the process of letting go and the science of it. Is that there's a belief there. There's a rule there that says once I have this person in my life, once I have this abundance in my life, then I'll feel love and abundance, worthy, whole, security, safe, whatever. Now, the interesting thing to look at is that those emotions are already inside of your field. It's just you believe they're on the external, and you believe that once you get the external, then you can feel it. But you're prolonging your own happiness. Now, one of the main parts of this, you want to take this a step further. It's going down into childhood, of looking, why are you so attached? Could attachment be a survival mechanism that the inner child is using to get their needs met? Could it be that there is a belief in scarcity, not abundance? Somebody asked me recently about jealousy on an Instagram Live. And in jealousy, I was thinking about it, and I was expressing that when people are jealous, there's a fear, there's a scarcity belief there. There's a belief there that someone else is going to take what you have, your partner, whatever, or that they have something that you want, if it's jealous about money or something. But what it's ultimately rooted in is a scarcity of resource, of believing and not trusting really is what this is all about. Because if you didn't feel like you could trust as a kid, you will control as a survival mechanism as an adult. So in an interesting way, as a kid, if your needs weren't met, you may have tried to control the family dynamics. You may have had to control how you appear and how you come off so that you could then get the needs met of mom and dad. But ultimately, if you think about it, scarcity is the root belief here. There's a scarcity amount of mom's attention. Mom's gaze can only go on one kid at a time. Mom starts to move her gaze. What do I have to do to get my attention? What do I have to do? How do I have to be? So there's an attachment. And really what the attachment is to, in order to get your needs met, there's this belief in scarcity that there is not enough here. Like imagine you are on an island and there's an abundance of everything. On this magical island, you can have anything you want. And what you do is you may say, I want this, what that person has. Okay, there's 50,000 of them. And what happens is that thing immediately appears for you. You would not be attached because there'd be an abundance of money, an abundance of, maybe there's abundance of fruit. You don't need to steal someone else's blueberries because there's plenty of blueberries. So the idea here is that if you believe there's only 3 handfuls of blueberries, you will be jealous of other people's blueberries. If you believe in that there's only one person that could ever be your significant other and they're just not coming around right now, then guess what? You're putting a whole bunch of pressure there and you're blocking that from actually coming into your life and realizing the abundance of love that is all around you. This was a huge shift for me when I used to sell women's shoes. I remember. I remember going into work, and there was this book I read. It was called The Science of Getting Rich by Walter Wattles. And one of the things it talked about was this abundance mindset. And it talked about how when normally I would go into work, I would see customers come in, and if one of my sales employees, one of the people I worked with in the same department, because it was sales commission, had a good sale, like they sold a whole bunch to a customer, everyone else would be like, that person had a good customer. That could have been my call. That could have been my sale. That's what they used to call it, calls. And what happens, interestingly enough, is when I started shifting my perspective, seeing someone else succeed meant to me, customers are buying today. It meant that it's a good sign. There's an abundance of this out there. As I started having that perspective, I started to sell a lot more. But imagine something happens and then energetically, I could have had that customer. Now I lost out because of it, because there's a scarcity amount of customers that are coming in. So therefore, there's a belief in scarcity. Now, do you see that belief shift and how that would then change my state and then change what I attracted? Well, in the same way with the universe, if we believe there's a scarcity amount of abundance in the universe, then guess what? Someone not coming around and seeing your value is a big deal, because you don't realize that everything else is invisible to you. All the abundance is invisible to you. Understand, there's an abundance of everything, even an abundance of lack. If you believe there's lack, you will literally make love and money invisible to you, even though it's all around you, because it can only reflect that back which you believe to be true. And if you're attached, you're resistant. So what if the very thing that you think is a mechanism to get you what you want, to get your needs met, of attachment, of holding on, and of control, is actually the thing that is blocking it? It's a thing that is repelling. Think of it like an energy of letting go. And like not letting go, an attachment is like you have your hands at the throat of the universe. And you're saying, give me what I want. And then with people, trying to control people, your hands are at the throat of that and saying, give me my validation and approval. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference of that energy and why it's not magnetic? Because it comes from a belief that in order to feel safe, in order to get your inner child needs met, you must control. And maybe as a kid, it didn't feel safe in your childhood. Maybe mom or dad's energy or emotion was constantly shifting. So control then became a very useful mechanism to get your needs met, but it's simply outdated now. But the thing to really look at is, what was the inner child part of you that doesn't feel safe? This is the deepest part of the whole entire video. There may be an inner child part of you that feels not seen, not heard, not soothed, not nurtured, that is afraid. And because they're not being acknowledged, and because they don't feel safe, they are trying to control. And they may try to control by controlling your diet. They may try to control by controlling people in your life. There's many ways this mechanism can play out as an adult. But what that inner child needs is your attention and energy. It's your presence. Because when you begin to soothe, see, hear, and nurture that inner child part of you, they begin to relax. They begin to feel safe in the moment. And then you'll notice that instead of trying to get their needs met through the external, you're going to start meeting their needs met from the internal. This makes a huge difference when you begin to do this inner child dialogue. Because ultimately, we are projecting out into the external world that which is either resolved or unresolved on the internal. And when people have codependent patterns, attachment patterns, or control patterns, it comes from unresolved childhood energy. That you could begin to find safety inside of your own body. And to realize that as you soothe that inner child part of you, you begin to feel differently. Now, there's another layer I want to go here. Could it be, it's going to sound kind of crazy, could it be that sometimes as well, what has become familiar is not having your needs met? What has become familiar is scarcity. What has become familiar is not being chosen. And that's probably why you may attract situations and people that don't choose you, because it feels familiar. And when people do choose you, you may completely block them out. Do you see how the familiar is what we are drawn to? Why are we drawn to the familiar? Well, what is said in certain types of therapy is that because there's this idea that we attract what is called the imago. The imago in relational dynamics is when we attract people that have both the most positive and the most negative characteristics of our parents that we project and attract into our life. And part of the reason being could be to learn a lesson, to complete and close the loop from childhood. Until you learn the lesson, you don't move on and evolve. So we may be saying, why do I attract this? Why do I attract scarcity? Why do I attract why do I attract other manipulative people? And why? Because it's familiar. And what you want to begin to do is to see, has your nervous system become familiarized with toxic energy? Because if so, then that might be why you keep feeling called to it. That might be why you keep attracting it. Now, instead of fighting for the familiar or fighting for worthiness, like I need to prove it, I'm going to pick people that don't choose me. I'm going to pick situations in my life that I have to fight because I'm trying to prove worthiness, which of course it's already inside of you. So a huge part of this work is looking at the false beliefs. You literally have a false belief that says that in order to be happy, I must have this thing. It's a false belief. And if you don't question it, you will keep fighting for it. Now, what's interesting to me is that if you think about this as well, there's an attachment to outcome. There's attachment to a person, attachment to money, attachment to outcome. Happiness only comes when it's in the present moment. Happiness comes from flow. When I am making a video I am passionate about, I feel fulfilled. When I am trying to get a video out so that I can make a video so that I can have it, so I can just check it off a list, doesn't feel so good. When I would go into work selling women's shoes, and I would go into work and focus on having fun, connecting with customers, adding value, I would do very well. When I went in and I'm like, I need to sell $5,000 of shoes today, manipulate the universe. You will pay me and I will give you shoes. So my paycheck can be good. So I can feel worthy, whole, and complete. Do you see the difference in the energy there? Now, the funny thing is that this one is more enjoyable anyways. You like it more. You have more fun and you get better results. So my goal with this video was to help you learn that letting go is more fun. Letting go, you will enjoy yourself more. Your state will go up. You will feel more in alignment and you will get into a flow state that then allows you to be more magnetic, that allows you to actually get what you want. But realize there's an abundance of everything. There's an abundance of lack. If you experience a lot of lack, there's an abundance of it. You're focused on it. You believe in it. Lack has become your idol because you want to be right about childhood. You want to be right about needs not being met as a kid. Maybe it feels familiar to be in lack. That's why a lot of times money is a reflection of energy. So if you want to experience more abundance, you must first get in alignment. Get in alignment with who you prefer to be and understand that attachment is just a survival mechanism that you believed you needed in order to survive as a kid. You can begin to soothe, hear, nurture, and see that inner child part of you and heal it. And then you can begin to get in a flow state because you realize this thing on the outside isn't going to bring me happiness anyways. It will completely transform your life. So the process for this is extremely simple. It's about recognizing the false belief, realizing that even if you got what you wanted, you wouldn't be happy with it for long. If you were to, for example, imagine the fantasy of the mind, because the mind is never okay in the present moment. It's always in the future, right? So imagine that in the present moment right now, everyone's running up to you, validating you. I love you. You're the most amazing thing ever. Oh my God, you're incredible. And everyone is just, you had like a 24/7 butler that's like, you're amazing. You're amazing. And that 24/7 butler is like the most attractive person you can imagine. So it's just like constant validation. And you get to lay with your lover in a plush bed that like turns in a circle like in Austin Powers, overlooking like this huge mountaintop view with an ocean. Oh, this is so amazing. The crazy thing is even if you had all that, you'd find a reason to want more, or it would feel empty after a while. Why? Because the end result is not the key. The key is the flow. The key is the enjoyment of the present moment. It's about who you become in the process. And when you start to realize that, you stop using the survival mechanism, you start meeting the inner child needs that you have, and then your vibration will completely raise. And remember, when you're in a higher vibrational state of consciousness, you're thinking less thoughts. You're not so attached. When you're in love, joy, peace, and enlightenment energy, you're present. You're not thinking a whole bunch of thoughts. So one thing I have, if you haven't seen it already, is High Vibe 101. It's a completely free course. It's a $1,000 course for free in my community called High Vibe Tribe. If you want to learn how to let go of the lower vibrational emotions and the attachments to then feel and joy, peace, and love more of the time, join this free course. Go through it and do the meditations. You'll see exactly step-by-step how to do this. And realize that the degree to which you let go is the degree to which you are magnetic. Now, if you want to learn exactly step by step one of the most powerful processes I found for letting go, then watch this video right here and I'll show you how to do it. People that are not attached have a more magnetic energy.